This is your EHC-TV sports interview. I am Hayden Pugh. Joining me today, Coach Ruppel from the men's lacrosse team here at Emory and Henry. It's great to have you today.
It's fantastic to be here.
First, I want to start off just asking you how your time at Emory's been different from your time at like Dallas and other colleges that you've coached at.
Oh, what a great start. I really enjoy Southwest Virginia. We are Eastern enough that everything is close. I grew up on the West Coast where every major city is a 3 to 4 to 5 hour drive away. Dallas was no different. The four majors in Texas are all hours away, not miles away. Same for my time in Illinois. I was a little bit off the beaten path where Chicago, St. Louis, Missouri were a little far away. When I was in Colorado, Alamosa is at the southernmost tip, and Denver, 4 hours away, 5 to 6 if you can't get through the pass. So what I absolutely love about Emory, Virginia, and being here at Emory and Henry is when I'm on the road recruiting, I can get to Charlotte in a couple hours, no problem. Knoxville, Nashville, still hours away, but fairly easily accessible, right? I turn left or right on 81, and then I just keep going. Lacrosse is a East Coast sport. Getting up to Baltimore, getting up to Northern Virginia, getting to Richmond, just substantially easier than what I am used to. And I was a guy that grew up in mountains, so being back in mountains is phenomenal, except for spring when the weather changes 6 times in one day, but I was used to that. But just closer knit, phenomenal experience, and getting to where I need to go is easier.
Definitely, I'd say those are some great points to make about here at Emory. My next question for you is, first of all, congratulations on that first win. It was a good one. Y'all dominated that game pretty well. How did that one feel?
Wild. We had 2 freak snowstorms that week. The game came about accidentally. We were supposed to open up our season against Virginia State. Davis and Elkins was also supposed to play Virginia State. Unfortunately, due to weather, both games got canceled. Davis and Elkins' coach called me, I think that Tuesday or Wednesday, and we were able to get the game on the books with officials by Saturday. We maybe only had 2 outdoor practices. Davis and Elkins might have only had 2 outdoor practices. We were begging for the snow to melt the day of the game. It all did. It worked out great. And then we trusted in our guys to execute, and we created a little game plan. The nice aspect of that was we played Davis and Elkins in the fall. They came down to us in the fall, so we kind of knew what to expect. We made a little scout from that. And then it took the boys a few quarters to figure out that they were better, but they were. And then we poured it on them in the fourth, and it was an awesome time. And I think that got the monkey off the guys' back, so to speak, so they felt a little bit more confident going into the rest of the season.
Definitely a good way to start the season after a rocky weather situation. I mean, that was a rough few months, but okay, next question. So last year, I think y'all scored not the greatest number of goals. This year, you're just a game over halfway into the season. You're already 5 goals more than last year. What has been like the difference you've seen from this year to last year?
2 things. One, size of the team. So we'll say growth. Last year was a little bit bare bones. Averaging 12 to 13 players a game was not easy. This year we average about 20 to 21. That absolutely helps. The second is age and experience. Now we have sophomores, right? Those guys that had to, just drudge through the season last year. I don't want to say there was no hope because there's always hope, but they saw the writing on the wall. They were freshmen. We're in the hardest conference in the country. They knew it was going to be an uphill battle. Well, now they're sophomores. Now they get to feel like, okay, I've done this before. I've been in this situation before. I know how to execute in this situation. And I think you're really starting to see it, especially in the last few games we've had. Again, the weather was rocky, so getting out early in January, February was pretty rough. But by about spring break, I think we started to hit a little bit of a stride. And now, at least for us in practice and the last couple games we've played, we've really started to see that level of in-game maturity start to take over, and it shows up on the score sheet. It may not show up in a win and a loss yet, but it is absolutely showing up in goals against, goals for, and we're starting to see that on both sides of the ball.
With such a young roster, what are some of the, obviously you just stated some of the pros, but what are some of the cons that come with like not having those seniors and those juniors who can really show you what has happened?
The analogy we use on the team is we are on the train tracks and we are building the train as we are going down the railroad at 65 miles an hour. Everything they do is a first-time situation for them. Once you are an established program and you have your 40 to 50 guys on the roster, your freshmen get to learn without just being thrown to the wolves. You know, they get to see things in practice. They get to see things in scrimmages. You know, our current freshman class, they're doing everything in real time on the field against, you know, last week as an example, number 8 in the nation. So if they don't have the right mentality about that, that could be a huge con, because we live in a world, you know, we're on TV today, where media takes a precedence. And, oh, well, you're losing. Well, we're losing with 18 and 19-year-olds to teams that have 25-year-olds on it. You know, the last couple teams we've played were very heavy fifth-year and graduate students. So to be able to execute as freshmen, they have to have that mentality that they are starting to see, okay, well, if I can do this now, imagine 2 years from now, imagine a year from now, imagine by the time I'm a senior. And that is the mentality our team has, and it's blossoming very quickly.
Last year we had an interview with you. You sat here with our old host, Hope. She asked you a lot about recruiting. How's a recruiting plan different from this year to last year?
Not so much different. Last year we learned where our market was, what type of kid, what type of athlete is going to come to Emory and Henry. But we had to do that on the fly because I took the job in October. Typically a lacrosse recruiting season is August to about December. So we were about 4 months behind our normal situation. This year, knowing our market, knowing where our guys are going to come from, knowing where our athletes are going to be, we were able to start the process that much earlier and be on pace with the rest of the teams across the country and in the SAC. And we didn't really change that model a whole lot. We just got to it earlier. So, I mean, at this point, I believe we have 15 committed freshmen for next year. A couple transfers trying to meander in. This time last year, I think we were at 8 or 9. You know, just a little bit off. We knew the recruiting landscape pretty well, but now we came in with a focus this year and moving forward. Like, we know our target markets. We know what cities we want to hit. We know what high schools we want to hit. We know what club teams we want to hit, and we don't want to really deviate from that path.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how that 2-3 extra months of actually getting to talk to these guys has definitely helped you. Another thing you talked about last year was you gave your young freshmen last year a lot of compliments on how gritty they were. You said they were a gritty bunch. Is that something you look for with recruiting, or is that more like something you just kind of hope to land on?
I think because of the level difference between high school and college, regardless of NCAA level, everyone looks a little bit gritty in high school when they're being recruited for the college level. It's something that you kind of hope happens naturally as you progress as a team. Now, there's things we can do, there's drills we can do, but really it's got to come from them. And I don't change that word this year. In fact, having the season we're having, I think they are starting to develop a little bit more grit to that. You know, last year we were the fine sandpaper. Now we're getting a little rough around the edges, and that's what you want. You want to be able to fight for ground balls. You want to be able to you're going to get hit in lacrosse, and sometimes the guy that's hitting you is 23 years old, 6'5", 200 pounds, and you are not. So you got to be able to bounce back from those, and our guys are doing that very resiliently.
It's always nice to have gritty players on your team. I think that always elevates them. My last question for you is, you know, you've done some work with Mexico's national team. You told me before that you're starting to work with Germany's. What's that like comparatively to working at like a college?
International play is pretty interesting because most sports are off of the NCAA or the professional calendar. at our level for international lacrosse, we have a wide range of kids that could still be in high school all the way up to professional athletes. Kind of depends on the country. The two countries that I've worked with, I was with Mexico, now I'm with Germany. Mexico, we had a couple pros. We had mostly Division I, Division II, Division III athletes, either freshly graduated or still in college, and then, you know, our sparing seniors in high school. Germany is no different. Most of the German youth are countryside in Germany right now. Germany has a wonderful youth program for lacrosse. It's in a handful of cities. And then what they try to do is shop them out to America for NCAA lacrosse, just because NCAA lacrosse is substantially better than European lacrosse at the moment. But the talent level kind of equals what I would say is mid to high level Division II, Division III, maybe low level D1, because you do have those age gaps, and sometimes you do have talent gaps. You know, I think the population of Germans playing lacrosse right now is just under 5,000 in country. And because of that, you know, that doesn't sound like a lot, but there are more seniors in Baltimore playing lacrosse than the entire country of Germany. So you might have a weaker talent spot, whether it be face-off, goalie, maybe left attack, whatever you have. You might have a weaker talent level there. You might have a phenomenal talent gap with maybe a defenseman who got picked up in the PLL draft, or maybe plays box lacrosse in Canada. So it gets very unique creating those playbooks, creating that structure for practices. International, we don't get to see each other too much. We might have a couple training camps throughout the year because everyone could be all over the world. But we do meet together for tournaments, and usually we're in 3 or 4 days before a tournament. So we'll host a little mini camp there, try to get everybody up to speed, everybody on the same page. It is so many Zoom meetings, but it's a wonderful time. In fact, we have a couple ENH players that will be playing for the American side of the Germany team this May, and their experience is going to be wild, right? They are Division II sophomores and freshmen, and there's a very good chance when they line up against an Armenia or an Ireland, they're going to see multiple PLL helmets from either retired pros, guys that might have just gotten cut, guys that might have just been injured, and that's their game back before they go up to the pro league. It's absurdly diverse, but it's very fun.
Well, thank you, Coach. Thank you for the insight on that. It's much appreciated. And thank you for joining me today. It was very short notice, so I really appreciate that.
No problem.
This has been your EHC-TV Sports Interview. I am Hayden Pugh, signing off.